Funny story, or at least it's funny to me. I find this funny. I had to be told that incels actually exist. See, I long believed, I maintained that incels don't exist. They can't really exist. Mainly because if a guy just needs to get laid, he can just pay for it. I mean, it may not be legal, but it is technically possible. And I guess before I continue here, for those who may not know, I think pretty much everyone knows at this point, but just in case, for those who don't know, incel means involuntary celibate. Basically, someone who can't get laid. They want to, but they can't. Now, like I just explained, because, of the world's oldest profession, there's no such thing as an incel. Or so I thought. But I had to be told incels exist. And oh, was it an experience. I mean, it's not much of a story to tell, but when this truth was revealed to me, let's just say it nearly broke me because I thought there's no fucking way this is true. There's no fucking way. So I was with my girlfriend at the time, and I guess we just got onto this subject somehow. And I was telling her, like, yeah, it's so stupid that, people use this word to like insult men that they don't like, men who don't have the right opinions. And she said, incels are an actual community. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, they're an actual group. They call themselves incels. And I was like, voluntarily? Purposefully? She's like, yeah, they're a whole community. They identify as incels. They make their entire identity about being incels. And I just looked at her like, you've got to be fucking shitting me. For a solid minute, I literally couldn't believe her. But then sure enough, I looked it up. And yes, there are these groups online, these men who actually call themselves, like, actually self-identify as incels. To be honest, to this day, I still have a hard time believing it. But now that that's established, now that it's established that yes, they are real, I want to ask a very simple rhetorical question. How are they not the ultimate feminists? This isn't reading between the lines or anything. This is quite literally just seeing things as they are. If you identify, like your entire identity is someone who can't get laid, how are you not a worshiper of women? Need I say more? Can I just end the video right here? Probably. I mean, if it's just about getting laid, then they worship pussy. If it's just about being loved, then they worship women outright. But either way, no matter what they are truly after, they may defend themselves and say, oh, it's not just like this, it's not just like that. Well, no matter which way you look at it, it's like, bro, your entire identity stems from women showing you some kind of attention. Actual simps are less simpy than that. Now, if a self-identified incel out there wants to detract from what I'm saying and they're going to try to defend themselves by saying, well, no, it's just about being single. We're single and we don't want to be. Okay, well then, if it's just about being single, then you're taking it too far. So again, no matter which way you look at it, you worship women. You see, I'm single on purpose. A lot of men I know are single on purpose. And I, and a lot of them, have an extensive sexual history. But you claim, by just calling yourselves incels, that it's involuntary. You just want a woman so badly. And hopefully, at least this far in the video, I've explained why I don't like incels. You see, women and a lot of weak men, a lot of feminine men, they try to conflate all misogyny into this one word. They're all incels. Try as though they may, it's utterly retarded. I am a misogynist, thank you very much. I'm a sexist, thank you very much. But don't you dare accuse me of being some super simp like an incel. And for the record, and this is for both my detractors and my fans, this channel is not just about women, okay? Like, I talk about more subjects than just women. But I do think that women are the most important subject to discuss these days. They are half the population, by the way, and more importantly, the weaker half. It absolutely matters what we do and don't allow them to do. So I had an epiphany recently. Well, I don't know if you'd call it an epiphany. I realized something interesting. If you think about it, and let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments, but I think incels are the greatest proof that tradition works too well. That's my one issue with tradition. It's always been my one issue with tradition, literally one issue. It works too well. It works so well that it makes everybody forget why it's necessary. And incels are just among the greatest proofs of that. You see, incels, they think that women are naturally everything that tradition required them to be. I love the female form, but to assume that they are naturally inclined to be clean, they are naturally inclined to be soft-spoken, they are naturally inclined to be everything that tradition wants them to be, like I just said. If you think they don't need to be made that way, compelled or forced to behave that way, well, then tradition worked a little too well, because that's not the way women are. I once had a job a very long time ago that, part of the job was cleaning the restrooms, and I even cleaned the women's restroom. This was one of the first times I started to become a little red-pilled about women, but cleaning their restrooms disgusted me. I was in a little bit of a shock the first couple of times I had to do so, and I saw that they are so much worse than men. I'm talking used tampons. I'm talking just plain old not flushing the toilet. I'm talking finding blood on the toilet seat. I even found needles in the women's restroom once. I'm not saying that's unique to women. I mean, finding used tampons, that is unique to the women's restroom. But, all I'm saying is they're not so clean. They're not such naturally cleaner creatures that you would never find all the filth that you would find in the men's restroom. That's my point here. All the filth that you would find in the men's restroom, you also find in the women's, and then some. But I'll take this video a step further to explain why women are not so special that you need to base your entire identity off of them, and why it is incredibly pathetic to do so. Basing your entire identity off of being able to have one for yourself. Oh, you just want to know what it feels like. Oh, you just want to know what it's like to be loved by one. They're not that special. So let me demonstrate this using my own personal experience with them, my extensive sexual history with them. Now, if you think, before I get started on this part, if you think that I'm just talking about my sexual history to brag, again, you're missing the point. They're not that special. They are no prize. That's exactly what I'm about to demonstrate to you. So pay attention from someone who has a lot of experience with them. The first thing, women are easy. I have never had to work hard to get laid. It's never been difficult for me. Now, if you want to think that's because I'm 6'4", good looking, naturally tan, intelligent, I'm sure those things helped a little bit. But I have also seen, and I think we've all seen, men who are completely hideous. Men who are absolutely hideous. Disgusting to look at. And they have a wife. They have a girlfriend. Sometimes even a younger one, a much younger one. Okay? It can happen to anyone. Do any of you know who Boogie 2988 is? A guy made a documentary on this guy a while ago. And at one point in the documentary, a girl appears. This guy who goes by the name Boogie, a complete land whale, gets himself a girlfriend who's half his age, who is not herself a land whale. In fact, I remember her being a little too skinny. Really skinny, half his age. And if you want to say, well, it's because he's famous, he has a lot of money. One, the documentary proved he did not have a lot of money. And if you want to go the he's famous route, well, then why did she pick anyone else who's famous? anyone like it. It's not like Boogie is the only famous guy in the world. And in fact, I would bet most of the people watching this video right now didn't even know who he was. But this woman wanted him. He's in his 40s or something, weighs 300, 400 pounds. The documentary proved he was broke, struggled to pay the bills. And you want to claim that, oh, it's because he's famous and this girl couldn't find herself like a Leonardo DiCaprio or a Brad Pitt or something? It's ridiculous. Women will go for just about anyone. They are easy. They are easy. And yes, there are certain trends with what women prefer. I don't deny that. Being famous helps, I'm sure. Being good looking helps. Being stupidly wealthy helps. I'm sure these things help, but they are not required. This is part of the reason I don't think incels truly exist. Women are easy. Getting laid is easy. It's not a brag because it's easy. Especially when you understand that sex is all women have. It's all they have going for them. They don't have brains. They don't have any real natural skills either. They can't compete with us physically. It's all they have to offer. So of course they're easy. This shouldn't be news to you. When it's all women have going for them, why would they hold it off for just about everyone and only the most special people, only the most special men ever get laid? That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Okay, I kind of deviated from my own personal experiences, so let me get back on track here. Another thing I've learned from having sex with women, sex is overrated. So let's say women were not easy. Let's say women had more going on for them than just offering sex. It's overrated. I compare sex to dessert. Is dessert delicious? Absolutely. Everyone likes dessert. There's something wrong with you if you don't. But do you want to eat desserts all day, every day? No. You'd get sick of it. It's the same thing with sex. And yes, I have been with women who want to do it basically all day, every day. One in particular made me sick of sex. I eventually got sick of it. I didn't tell her. I didn't want to hurt her feelings or anything. But she wanted to do it so often. I started to think, like, how do I tell her this is too much? How do I tell her that I want to break from this for at least a few days? Another thing I learned, it's the only thing that men and women have in common. Wanting to fuck each other is the only thing men and women have in common. A man's interests and hobbies and whatnot are not the same as a woman's. You will notice, incels, if you ever had a girlfriend, you would notice that you are almost constantly, this day and age anyway, almost constantly trying to find things to have in common. And women, I'll grant this, women do it as well. Most of the women I've been with have tried to go out of their way to, get into the same things that I'm into, have the same interests, or at least, participate in them. That's, a typical example being video games. But that barrier is always going to be there. Okay? Men and women just don't like the same things. And it becomes frustrating for both of them to keep trying to cross that barrier. So this just reiterates a previous point, which is, when it's all sex is all women have to offer, but it's also the only thing men and women have in common with each other. We want to fuck. And I think even incels will understand this next point, which is sex does not last very long. I think on average, the statistical average is like, 7 minutes or something? Okay, so you have 7 minutes of fun, you have 7 minutes of really enjoying each other's company, and then you have hours upon hours left in the day to coexist. If you want to get laid so badly, but you only want to do it with a real relationship, well, if I were you, I'd be a lot more focused on the relationship part. I'd be a lot more focused on how can you make a relationship work, especially in this day and age, especially when men and women have nothing in common with each other naturally. Because I guarantee If the only reason you're not paying a prostitute is to have that intimacy, have that genuine connection, but ultimately it is still just about getting laid, I guarantee you being with a woman is not going to make you any happier. In fact, it's probably going to make you more miserable than you were before. Men and women have nothing in common, and 99% of the time, you're not fucking. Okay, I haven't done the actual math on it, but I'm pretty sure it's 99% of the time you're not fucking. And you wouldn't want to fuck all day, every day anyway. Another thing I've learned from sleeping with women, they want it just as much, if not more. But like I've said before, you should have already pieced this part together. It's all they have to offer. It's all men and women have in common with each other. But I made this its own separate point because remember, I mean, it's in the wording itself. They want it more than we do. That means they're going to want to more often than you want to. If you're a virgin, especially if you're a virgin, you probably don't know this, but after you finish, as a guy, after you climax, you're drained. Typically, the fastest that a guy can recharge is like 30 minutes. But even then, like let's say he recharges quickly and he can do it again, and that does happen. It's happened with me. At some point, it's going to be several hours before he can do it again. So what I'm trying to say is, no matter who you are, you can't do it all day, every day. In fact, a lot of the time, after you finish, it puts you to sleep. I don't understand the science behind that, but that's just what happens. Puts you to sleep. And when women want it more than you, that's going to drive you crazy. That's going to frustrate the hell out of you. Because again, circles back to, it's all women have to offer. It's all men and women have in common with each other. So if she wants to and you don't, well, prepare for an argument. I've been there. Prepare for an argument. She's going to feel unloved or some shit like that. It's all they've got. It's all men and women have in common. So if she wants to and you don't, prepare for trouble. Another thing I learned from sleeping with women is women use men for sex too. And I mean like one night stands or booty calls. This one experience I had, I've only ever had one night stand. And I'm a relationship guy, by the way. I've never been a womanizer. I think that behavior is repulsive, and it's also primitive. I've always been a relationship guy. I've always taken relations with women seriously. I've never been the just hooking up type. But I encountered a woman in my early 20s. This is how I learned. Thankfully, I learned early on. But I encountered a woman in my early 20s who, I told her, I only do relationships. I don't do the hookup thing. I certainly don't do one night stands. And, she pretended to go along with that. She pretended to be on the same page. And I was even more excited because, I thought she wanted a relationship. And she contacts me. We met over the internet. We met through the internet. And, she contacts me one day and says she really wants to come over. I was like, oh, great. We're going to meet in person for the first time. And funny enough, we actually, I don't remember what it was about, but we got into a bit of an argument. And despite that argument, she still insisted on coming over. It was weird. But anyway, she came over and we hung out for a bit. But the whole time we were hanging out and I was trying to not make it just about sex. She kept saying, I shit you not, this sounds so cringe, but this is literally what she said. And she kept saying over and over, I'm so glad I didn't wear a bra today. I swear she said that like 5 times. And, I knew the first time what she was trying to do. I was kind of in denial. I thought, women don't behave this way. I used to be a liberal, by the way. In case this story sounds really strange to you guys in the audience, I used to be a liberal. I was a liberal up until I was 30. I used to think women were special. I used to think women were better than men in every way. So this particular night, I was in a little bit of a shock. I was like, why is a woman, why, why is an attractive girl behaving this way? I thought women had higher standards than men. It sounds like she just wants to hook up. But, I am a guy. There is some truth to the stereotype, and eventually I just gave in. But I was okay with that because I thought she wanted to be with me, like in a relationship, a proper relationship. We hooked up, and after it was over, the next day I texted her something about like I think I asked her, and this sounds a little cringe on my part, but I think I asked her like, you never clarified in if we're dating or not, if we're boyfriend and girlfriend or not. And she didn't say no outright, but she just kind of like weaved around answering the question directly. And she essentially said that she doesn't want a serious relationship, but she wants to be able to keep coming back to me. Oh, keep coming back, huh? Which obviously meant she just wants me as a booty call. And that's when I told her to fuck off. And I never saw her again. Despite having amazing features, I didn't want anything to do with her again because that's just not my style. Even when I was a liberal and I thought there was nothing objectively wrong with behaving that way, I still didn't like it. The next thing that I learned from sleeping with women, they like manhood just as much as men like boobs. I won't elaborate on this too much. This is YouTube after all, but this relates to the previous points. These all kind of connect together. But yeah, whenever, when I'm with someone, I like to take showers together. That's always been something I enjoy doing. And or even when we're not, just in random situations, if I'm not clothed around her. Pretty much all of my exes had this in common. If for any reason I was hard and we were not, already in bed, if we're just like walking around or taking a shower, let's just say they couldn't keep their hands off of it. And not only could they like not keep their hands off of it, but they couldn't resist touching it even more than I enjoyed playing with boobs. Like once again, it often reached the point of me getting sick of it. Something that everyone is told that men like in infinite amounts. Well, I didn't. There are limits to everything. So if you're under the impression that women are these like, reserved creatures, they don't always want it. They don't have dirty minds. In fact, that's going to be my next point. Actually, no, I'm just going to relate it to this point. They absolutely have dirty minds. And I am not saying this to brag, but my manhood is bigger than most guys. And all my exes that had, previous experience, they all said this, that I was the biggest they had, or at least the second biggest. And whenever they saw it, and we weren't, like I said, in the middle of lying in bed together, they couldn't stop staring at it. They couldn't stop touching it, to the point I got tired of it. I have to tell them to stop. I have to tell them, like, can you, like, not do this so often? Can you have a little bit of control? Can you have a little self-control for once? And relating this to dirty minds, you'll know this just by knowing what kinds of books they read. Like this book, for example. It's truly disgusting what women are into. But they absolutely have dirty minds. To the point it is disgusting. Just look at what they read. But if you have extensive history with women, history of sleeping with women, you'll know this firsthand. They have dirty minds. All of my exes had a dirtier mind than I do. And the final example I'll give on this point is that includes violence. It's not just weird shit that they're into. They're also into some violent stuff. How do you think I learned that most women have rape fantasies? That's true. Look it up. most women have R word fantasies. The first time, the first time a woman told me to pull her hair, I thought she was joking. I genuinely thought she was joking. And so I didn't. We're in the middle of it and she tells me to pull her hair. And I didn't think she was serious, and so I didn't. And then she says it again, this time a little more aggressively, like, pull my hair. And then I realized, oh, she does mean it. But then I thought, I guess this is just her thing. But then with women that were after her, they were into some stuff like that too. I'm not going to get into details, but the common one, and the one that I was introduced to all this with, was hair pulling. And I suppose, my first experience with that was quite a funny one. I thought, when I thought I thought when they're asking you to pull their hair, they mean just like grab the back of it and just kind of yank on it a bit. But I realized with time and with different partners throughout the years that what they really mean is like grab it at the roots. Grab it at the roots and yank it back. Like, this is the stuff they're into. Stuff that like decent men would think like, are you deranged? Why are you into this? Is it not good enough that I just want to make love to you? That's not good enough. It has to like simulate real violence. You want me to like simulate attacking you? What's wrong with you? Again, I won't get into details. The only one I'll describe is the hair pulling. But yeah, women are into some fucked up shit. So let's recap. It's all women have to offer. It's all men and women have in common with each other. They want it more than men. And they have dirty minds. You still think it's special? You still think it's special to sleep with women? You still think you want to sleep with women that badly? Of course, all men want to some extent, no matter how misogynistic they are, no matter what issues they have with women. Men still want to fuck them. But to the point that you make your whole identity about it, you make your whole identity about not being able to, which, by the way, you can. You're just choosing to be pathetic. You're choosing to wallow in your self-pity. Women are easy. They're easy and they're dirty. Okay? The problem literally is you, your choices. But even more than that, you have a problem if you want women that badly in the first place. And I'm trying to tell you, as someone with experience, it is all overrated. All of it. You should only want it as far as you can throw it. Like, yeah, I'm in the mood, let's do it, and then it's over. You forget about it, you move on with life. But making your whole identity about getting laid or not, that's beyond pathetic. Beyond pathetic, especially when you understand women. Truly, deeply understand women's nature. So yeah, those are all the points I wanted to make. And now the choice is up to you. Do you still want to have your entire identity revolve around sleeping with women? Does it sound ridiculous now? Because it should. They're not anything special. They're really not. I think from both an evolutionary and a religious point of view, I think both of those sides agree that women exist to be supporters of men. Men are supposed to have wives to help them out with living life, but also help out with the kids, just to help them out. Make me some heirs, but also help me raise them, help maintain our household. But women are not meant to be worshipped. They're meant to be your helper. That may be depressing, that may be offensive, but it's true. They're not meant to be worshipped. So incels, stop worshiping them. For as long as you call yourself one, that's exactly what you're doing.